Hi, everybody. Welcome to another YouTube of Mediation and Beyond. I'm super excited today. I've been trying to get Lisa Cooper on this for a while. So Lisa is the owner of Elisa Contemporary Art, where she showcases just beautiful pieces of artwork. And one of the reasons I wanted to have Lisa on is because I want to talk about, especially during COVID, which really the use of space. And when I think of space, I think of art. So Lisa, thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate you taking the time. I know you're busy with the art world, especially during COVID and not during COVID, but I'm really excited to hear from you about what's going on in the art space, and then to see some of the pieces that you have in your beautiful home.
Wonderful. Well, Colleen, thank you so much. I'm so grateful to be a part of the Zoom call and part of, all of your talks. So it's really wonderful. So I thank you. Yeah, it's a really interesting time. I think as an art dealer, I definitely find that a lot of people are staring at a lot of blank walls. A lot of people are working from home and looking at spaces that they want to be able to escape into and find a little bit of relaxation and ease as they look into them.
Yes.
So surprisingly, while the gallery was closed for a long time, people were contacting me and buying online and buying through interior designers, and we were continuing to sell art to people from around the world.
Wow. So are you finding that because people, you think, are in their home more often, that wall they meant to put something on, or they're sick of looking at what was on that wall, now they're saying, I want to see what else is out there?
I definitely do. I mean, I know we were featured in an Architectural Digest article recently that was about travel art during the pandemic. And so that was one way that people got able to travel and get away and be in a space that they loved, whether it was a beach or a mountain or somewhere, that took them into that peaceful space. So we were focusing on one of our artists, Cara Angeles, who is based in Hawaii, and all of her work is about being in the water and moving through the water. And that's always an extremely wonderful space for people to go into and look at the piece and the artwork and have a feeling of peace.
Well, I saw that article actually, and I saw her work, and I said to myself, I forgot, because I haven't traveled in like almost a year. And I'm like, you forget that those places are out there. Like for some reason, but art can just immediately bring you back there.
Absolutely.
Which I'm like, I think I need something like that on my wall, because it's like in COVID especially, and when the non-freedom not to travel, it really you kind of forget the beauty of the world is still out there.
Yeah, you tend to feel a little bit trapped, and there are so many different ways that artists and art can bring you into either a travel space that you love, whether it's realistically or photography or in an abstract way, or just bring you humor and make you feel good. That's always so important during this crazy, unprecedented year.
Have you noticed, Lisa, that art is on the rise in viewing or purchasing?
Definitely seen it at least continue. I mean, it's very different because most of us, or a lot of us in the art world, have tended to do art fairs. And art fairs might be a couple of days that bring 7 to 10 to 50,000 people all together in a space.
Yes.
And with COVID, those aren't taking place anymore. So they're becoming virtual fairs, and it's a different experience. People definitely are still buying, but they're doing it differently than they do in a normal year.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot that you can't get all the venues together and come explore everyone's art that is out there and really kind of see. There is something about really seeing it, but thank goodness for technology that still allows us to view beautiful pieces of art that artists have, you know, expressed. And so I look forward to seeing. So you're at your home where you sell your art. Well, you're an art dealer, so you sell your art from your home. Do you do virtual tours?
Well, there are two different things that we do. I do have a physical gallery in New York, in Riverdale, New York. So I'm there once a week. We've also turned our home in Fairfield, Connecticut into an art salon. So we've got over 30 artists on exhibit within a home environment. So it's a very different way for people to see and experience art. About 25% of my artists are from the West Coast and California and Hawaii. And so it's a lot of art that they don't normally see in this area. We also do sell on First Dibs and the Affordable Art Fair and Cherish and other e-commerce sites as well.
And so the art gallery you have in Riverdale, New York, for people just who are interested, is you have to sign, do you only take so many people at a time to go in? Or how is that? Do they need tickets? Like, how does that work, Lisa, just so that people have an idea?
Yeah, I'm there once a week. I'm there on Wednesdays from 12 to 5, and the gallery is located at 5622 Mosholu Avenue in Riverdale. We've been there for 12 years. People have to be wearing masks, and it's a maximum of 4 people coming in at a time. If they do want to make an appointment, they can call me or email me to make an appointment. Otherwise, the door is normally open, and we just allow a limited number of people coming in.
Okay, and that is one day a week that it's open, 12 to 5 on a Wednesday?
Correct, and if people do want to come a different day, they can contact me and make an appointment, and I can meet them there. Our current exhibit is called Looking In and Letting Go, and it's all faces and places because we've been trapped for so long that I really wanted to create an exhibit that allowed people to look into the eyes of other artwork and escape into a different sort of space.
And how long is that on display for?
That will be up through December 16th.
Okay, good to know. All righty, well, that's exciting. I actually might have to get down there on a Wednesday. I haven't been, so I might have to do that. Yeah. And so what do you have going on in your home space right now?
So we've got a number of different pieces, and every time we sell art, we replace it and change things up, and so everything is constantly shifting and changing. Do you want me to walk you around and show you a couple pieces?
I'd love that.
Okay, so we're going to see if I can flip the camera around.
Crazy. We're going to try this.
And see if this works, and then talk you through a couple of pieces.
Love it. I even love the light fixture you have on that ceiling.
Thank you. Okay.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So,
we're
going to start with this piece, and this is called Group Heroes 1, and this is by Don Morris. And Don spent most of his career as a plastic surgeon, and now he makes artwork all out of comic strips.
Seriously?
So, yeah. So they're just wonderful. They are all cut, and it has a dimensional quality to it. And what I love is from a distance, it just looks like shapes and colors.
It does.
And as you come up close, you start to see all of those superheroes.
Are those not like shellacked?
It is. He puts a varnish over it to hold the shape of the paper. So this one is a 16 by 16. He does them in larger sizes, and we just shipped one of his pieces to a client in Hong Kong.
And he's a surgeon, did you say? A doctor?
He's a doctor. He spent most of his career, he's about 84 years old, so he's retired, and now he just makes what we call comic book constructions.
I love that. Because you don't know it from a distance. So when you get up on it, that's interesting.
Yeah, you have no idea. So it just fills you with surprise and
Yeah.
wonder. So this piece is by Canadian artist Marie Daniela Blanc, and it's an abstracted landscape of Fiordland, which is in New Zealand. And
Wow.
all of her work is made using pigment and oil and a high gloss finish. She uses her fingers to push the paint. So what you tend to see when you look at the side, but we're getting a lot of glare,
Yeah.
is sort of a lot of movement in her work. And I love that she just takes you into these different spaces.
Oh,
So
I
this
love
one,
that.
isn't that wonderful?
Yeah, that's a beautiful. I love the coloring that flows through that. I love that.
And it just brings you into the water and the sky and the movement, and there's a wonderful quality to that.
Yeah, it draws you in.
This piece is by Rose Overlick, and she is an artist who is based in Vermont. Her work are all emotional abstractions, and they're all about family and relationships. She creates her work with oil and graphite on wood panel, and there's just so much movement and layering to all of her work.
That's on wood?
It is, it's on wood panel.
Wow. Okay.
A lot of my artists tend to use wood panel. It gives them a harder surface to be able to do layering and sometimes sanding and different layers over all of their work.
Yeah, it brings a lot of value into that. I like that a lot.
Thank you. This piece is part of an artwork by Cara Angeles, and she's a New York artist who is very eco-conscious. And this work is called Where Do You Go, Carner Blue #3. And it is focused on the Carner blue butterfly, which is a species that is now endangered.
Oh.
And she created her work with oil on aluminum, using aluminum cans for the butterflies that are dimensional.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
Wow, I love when you get these environmentally friendly pieces, right? Like,
Absolutely. I mean, I think they make such a difference.
that's a beautiful piece.
So staying with the environmentally conscious, we're going to take a look at this work,
Oh, wow.
which is by Aurora Robeson. And
Wow.
Aurora is an artist. She's a Canadian artist who grew up in Hawaii and lives in New York. And all of her work is made out of recycled materials. So this is all made out of recycled plastic bottles.
Seriously?
Yeah.
That's stunning. The coloring in that is really stunning.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah. I can't believe that that's plastic.
It is. It's all found plastic, so it's eco-friendly and it's recycled. All of her work, you know, once again, is about transforming the negative into the positive. She also makes wonderful artwork out of junk mail.
Wow, it's really. Can I ask what a piece like that would go for?
Yeah, I think this was about 3,000.
Okay. I love that. Do you have a lot of Canadian artists that you work with, Lisa?
I have probably around 3 or 4 Canadian artists that I currently work with or have worked with.
Gotcha.
This is What Thoughts Are Made Out Of by James Austin Murray. And you don't,
wow.
Isn't that wonderful?
Wow.
So artwork is all black on black. And it's
what is it on? Is that on wood?
This is also on wood panel.
Wow.
And what I love is just being able to see the layering and the movement that you see as the light captures the artwork.
Well, the flow in that, you get lost in it.
You do.
It's
So
almost like the abyss, right? It brings you into that centerpiece. Wow.
to that wonderful space. So he's
Yes.
a New York-based artist, and I first saw his work years ago. I'm on the Art and Architecture Review Committee at St. Peter's Church in New York, and he was one of the artists who was having a solo show.
Wow.
So I've seen his work over years and just the evolution, and one of his pieces we just shipped to a client in Brussels. So very exciting and a wonderful artist and person.
Yeah, that's fantastic. They're all fantastic. That's
They're
the
all
thing about art. Like you love one, then you love another, and they're all magnificent pieces, and that is magnificent.
So this is by California artist Stephanie Kate, and this is acrylic on wood panel. So you're seeing lots of wood panel, and this is Europa 21 and 22. And Stephanie is obsessed with the moon Europa, which is the sixth largest moon of Jupiter. It's a planet that has fire and ice and the greatest potential for life.
Wow.
So you look at this very abstract piece, you start to see the green in it and the explosion of sort of fire and ice and that potential for life.
That's amazing. The coloring in that, although there's just a few significant colors, the blending of them is just fabulous.
Mm-hmm. Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah. That ice piece, it just, you know, when you give the descriptiveness of it, like you can just feel it almost.
And it changes the way that you look at it.
Yeah.
That's what I love, because ordinarily you would look at it and go, oh, that has a Jackson Pollock type feel to it, or it's just a black and white. But when you hear the thinking behind it and the reason behind it, it really changes your whole perspective.
Absolutely. And I think that's important with art, right, is to understand what the artist's intention was, although you can draw upon your own inferences, but it's when you know what they were thinking, it makes all the difference.
Absolutely. And I think so many of us, when we walk into a gallery or a space, we're always afraid to ask. And
Yeah.
it's often not a welcoming space. And to me, that was so important, to make people feel welcome, to make it accessible, to let them ask questions, and to make sure that, you know, we were here to provide some insights and information.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And just even the pieces that you know are like recycled, you're like, or out of plastic or environmentally friendly, you're like, wow, it kind of just, it pops the whole thing in a way that it wouldn't if you didn't know that.
Absolutely. So we've got one more piece that I'm going to show. Hopefully this will work. And this one is by one of our Hawaii artists, Cara, and all of her work is about being in and moving through the water.
Whoa. Wow. The coloring is spectacular.
Isn't that beautiful? So
I feel like I'm under the water with her, like, you know?
A lot of Carol's work is done on panel, but she's created a series of work on paper that she's painted a wood grain behind the paper and then painted over it. And Carol was the second artist that we signed when I started my gallery in 2008, and just love how all of her work brings you into the water. You don't always see the faces, so it could be you going into the water and you in that space, or imagining yourself or somebody else.
Right, right. Now, so that's on paper.
This is on paper.
Wow, okay.
A framed piece that we've done. It's a work on paper. And often, just from an art perspective, there are certain things that you'll find. Works on paper tend to be less expensive than some works on panel or other mediums. Sometimes, and we'll show you one last piece.
I love that. Is Carol in Hawaii?
She is. She lives on the island of Kauai.
Yeah. You kind of get that vibe. It's just spectacular.
But what's so interesting about her work too, she originally was from Los Angeles, and she spent a lot of time at the LA Athletic Club, which is where a lot of the Olympic coaches would train. And the bottom part of the LA Athletic Club with the pool is glass. So you're able to see how the swimmers move in the water, and you're able to watch them. And that's where she first got inspired and started to do some of her painting. And she's been living in Kauai for about the past 15 years.
Well,
But
Kauai's inspiring in and of itself.
Without a doubt. Now, the piece in the middle here is an aquatint by Alex Katz. And Alex Katz is one of my favorite artists, and he's a very well-known, established American minimalist. And I remember being at the Whitney Museum and seeing one of his solo exhibits and hearing people say, "Oh, you and your friend look like you belong in his paintings."
Oh, wow.
You know, his paintings go for hundreds of thousands, and I knew I'd never be able to afford anything like that. But an aquatint is a limited edition print that he did. This one is an edition of 75. And it was something that I bought for myself as a birthday present before I became an art dealer.
It's beautiful.
So it's the way of being able to afford an artist that you never thought you'd be able to afford, and have a piece that you can live with and love every day.
Oh, I would love to look at that. I mean, that's it's just simply stunning. You know, it's just simple, but it's beautiful.
It is. It's simple. It's a little different than a lot of his other pieces, which tend to feature his wife, Ava.
Mm-hmm.
But I love the simplicity, the size and the shape of it.
It's like simply elegant, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm going to try and, did you want to see anything else, or?
I mean, I could look at I think I just need to drive over.
And you're welcome anytime. You just have to wear
a glass of wine, and right. No, you have beautiful pieces, and your home, it's beautiful. So I can only imagine your gallery, which I really have to get to now that this reminds me to get down there. These are, you pick some very stellar pieces. I mean, fantastic.
Thank you. Well, let me try and flip this back around. Let's see. Okay.
So I have two questions for you. One is, when somebody is buying art, what are some tips that they should look at? Like, what are some questions they should ask themselves if they have a space on their wall, and you know, what are some things they can ask themselves in order to acquire the right piece for them?
I mean, I think that, you know, there are certain questions you sort of want to think about. You know, is there a favorite place that you've been? Is there a person or a style that you love? Is there a color that you're looking for? I mean, more than anything, I love people to either stand in front or see a piece of work and have it move them emotionally, and to take your head out of it, and to take, you know, anything else. And what does it make you feel? Does it bring you to a space that makes you feel happy? Does it make you feel sad? And sometimes that's okay too. But to me, it has to be able to evoke an emotion. Okay. And if it can't, then it's not something that I think you want to live with. It's like any relationship. You want it to have some substance, and you want it to impact you in a positive way.
Right. I think like when you walk by it, or when you view it in your home, because you buy something, it stays on your wall for a while, right? It's going to be there for a while. And so when you walk by it, what you're saying, and I really appreciate you saying, whether it's happy or sad that it brings you, or just calm or whatever, but that it's okay if it evokes something kind of more melancholy or sad for you. Doesn't mean it's a bad thing.
Absolutely. I mean, I think, just to have that connection with feeling
Mm-hmm.
is, to me, so important.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what your if for people to go on, you have your art on online, I would imagine, right? For people to view and look at. What is your email so that people can go on and look at what you're offering?
Well, we have the website is www.elisa contemporaryart.com.
Okay.
So the website, people can email me at lisa@elisaart.com, and they can contact me as well or text me with my cell phone number that I'm never giving up, which is 212-729-4974.
All right. And then last, because I always think this is interesting, as much as it's about the artist, it's also about the person trying to share the artwork, such as yourself, with others. What got you into this?
I spent 21 years in advertising and marketing. I spent 6 years at Mercedes-Benz running customer loyalty and interactive marketing for them. And it got to a point that I felt like a lot of things were changing, and it's a little challenging to be a woman in automotive and a woman, American woman in a German company. There are definitely some challenges, but amazing to work for a luxury brand. And my husband and I had started to buy artwork several years earlier. We would buy a new piece of art every year on our wedding anniversary.
Nice.
So instead of giving something to each other, we would find something that we both loved. We would go to the art fairs, we would walk around, we would pick different art that we liked, and then we would decide on one piece. So, that was some of my experience. So my husband and I were on vacation in Hawaii, and I was talking about what I wanted to do next from a career perspective, leaving Mercedes. And my husband said, well, why don't you open up an art gallery? Because we had started to, collect, and it was really fun. And what he meant was, why didn't I open up an art gallery in Hawaii? Because he loved Hawaii and he wanted to move there. So I opened one in the Bronx and, represented a number of Hawaiian artists, as you saw Carol Bennett's work. And, I represented about 8 different artists, all from Hawaii. You never quite know how life will evolve. So I started my gallery in 2007. So I just celebrated my 13th anniversary. I opened the gallery in Riverdale in, I think, 2008. So that's been about 12 years there. And it's been a really interesting evolutionary process between doing art fairs and the art salon and online and e-commerce, and continuing to sort of change and evolve and see how to connect people with art, and to, as a small company, increase my awareness and the people who are connected to me.
And now COVID, that just brings on a whole nother dimension, right?
It does. It definitely making people sort of feel safe and being able to reach people, being able to connect with other interior designers and art consultants, and just people reaching out and being connected. What was always important to me as well with the gallery is we always have donated a portion of all of our sales back to charities helping underserved communities heal through art. So we've supported Free Arts NYC and the Art Therapy Project, and we've supported charities from the beginning. So both of those groups during this time of COVID have put together creative kits for kids living in homeless shelters, or done tele-art therapy for homeless vets and victims of sexual abuse. And, to me, there's always been that healing quality of art. And every time we make a sale, it goes back to the charities that continue to heal and positively impact people's lives as well.
That's really, I love hearing that. And you know, when I had my therapy practice, you know, part of, you know, when you do cognitive behavioral work, you're asking people to do different behavioral things. But one of the things I always find comes back to that really works for people is either they're going to have an artistic expression through writing, or they're going to have an artistic expression through art itself. But it is always far more impactful for people to express themselves that way than just talking back and forth. Like, it brings out a different element of your depth, right? And it helps you heal in a way that talking can't.
Well, I think it allows you to express things that you don't feel comfortable saying,
Yep.
or that you're scared to say. And I know for a number of years, I have curated the exhibit for the Art Therapy Project and for their annual fundraiser. And so they get a lot of the artwork from clients that are in their programs.
Mm-hmm.
And as you look at these pieces, especially victims of sexual abuse that may be young and things that they haven't been able to say that you see in the art that they've created, it's just so powerful and so amazing. And so many of these people talk about how becoming involved in this program and creating the work has changed their life.
Yeah, for the better.
What? Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. I think that's really good that you have a give back like that. I'm going to put your stuff, all your information. I'm going to do a write-up about all the artists that you referenced today and how to contact you and your Riverdale. I'll get that information and post that on the details below. And then we will spread the word about Elisa Contemporary Art. Like, I love it. I think it's great. It's a good thing you're doing. I love hearing the give back. I'll also speak to that. But I really appreciate the time and letting us see, you know, the importance of art. My just sitting here and seeing it, because I haven't been in anywhere. I went to a place in Ridgefield, Connecticut, the Aldrich Museum last month. They opened, and you know, only a certain number could go through, but it's been my first time since probably last January, or this past January. It's like almost like a year before I've gotten out and seen any art. Like, in art, so to me, it's so important. And what you put on your walls, what you have in your home or office, you know, it could be, you know, some of us still have office space, but that what's on our walls really matters. It speaks.
Absolutely. And even, you know, what you have in your bedroom space, you know, having very meditative, calming work around you. It may be based on nature, but something that allows you to wake up with optimism and go to sleep with peace, and know that you look at that and see that, and it gives you that space.
Yeah, it's necessary, and I highly encourage people to contact Lisa and be able to even speak with you, get some ideas, get headed in the right direction about what might work for them. They might speak to you, and then you know exactly, oh, I have an artist in mind who can let me share some of those pieces with you. So that's what's really helpful about working with somebody like yourself. You may not know the piece, but if you speak to it, you might envision who that artist might be, that you might be able to share that piece with them.
And what we love doing with clients is if they take a photograph of a wall that they have and measurements and some ideas to style or color, we'll do mock-up of what different art might look like in their space. And it's often so hard to visualize how something will look in your home. And so we love to bring that to fruition through our mock-ups and other things, and really, you know, meet with clients.
I never thought about that. That's a great idea, because someone might have a space and they might not just know what to put on it, but if you could share with them what it would possibly look like, that's very cool.
And we love that unexpected, you know, we present a wide range of things, what people would expect, and then things that they don't. And you always love to see their facial expressions when they look at it, and the surprise of having them fall in love with something they never would have expected.
Yeah, and that can make that room look so different. You bring in one piece, but it can change how that room looks, you know, which I think, and people, but you can't, but some of us, myself included, wouldn't be able to see it. Like I can't visualize it, but if you show it to me,
Right.
it's a game changer. So thank you, Lisa. I really appreciate that. Thank you for turning your iPad around for us. That actually worked out really well. I've never had somebody do that before, so thank you. And if you're having anything, let me know, and I'm happy to post that for you.
Wonderful, and thank you, Colleen. At the moment, we have through November 30th, we're part of an online art fair, the Online Affordable Art Fair, and we're one of 50 international galleries taking place in 15 countries online. So I'll send you information on that, and you know, we're hopefully when life returns to normal, we'll be doing art fairs and want to invite you and other colleagues and people watching to come join us. And our art salon in Connecticut is always open by appointment with masks and no shoes. And we love sharing all of the art that we're discovering and, you know, bringing that into people's lives as well.
I just had one last thought. I was just thinking as you were speaking, I'm like, you know, the one thing COVID can't interrupt is an artist's ability to create art, right? It doesn't interrupt really anything because it's so personal. A lot of times it's done alone or in their own space. And I'm like, so at least COVID can't interrupt people, you know, still sharing what their need to express and share with us. So that's how that gets delivered may be different, but at least the artist can still do their art.
They're definitely still creating. It's definitely impacted some artists not feeling quite as motivated as others. We have one artist, our pop artist from Texas, Mitch McGee, who just created a birthday present for a client in Connecticut. He did a commissioned piece of an Eddie Vedder portrait from Pearl Jam.
Wow.
Surprise birthday present for a client's husband, and that was just delivered early last week.
Nice.
You know, to the wonderful surprise and delight. So we've still got a lot of artists creating wonderful pieces to bring joy and happiness and delight into so many people's lives.
Yeah, especially with the holidays coming up, consider art as a gift to yourself or a gift to somebody else or a gift to your home in general. But consider art and then know that when they make that purchase, a portion goes to a charity. So that's also a really good thing. Well, thank you, Lisa. We'll be back in touch. I know I'll see you, but I'll be down on a Wednesday for sure.
I look forward to it, and stay safe and stay well. And thank you so much for this opportunity to share. I so appreciate it.
Take care. Thanks, Lisa. It was fun. Bye.